here at Fort Casper. It's a landmark here in Casper, Wyoming, and it's really a special place. And this is the entrance to it. And so we're going to go up here and look at this. The entrance here is very, very pretty. The grounds are beautifully taken care of. And it's just a lovely place to visit. We're going to go up these stairs right now. We're going to go up here and look at this. We'll go right here. Look at this. In memory of the Grand Army of the Republic. That's what this says right here. To our fathers who sacrificed lives and fortunes for our freedom and unity. And it's presented in 1956 by Betsy Ross, tent number 19, Daughters of the Union Veterans of the Civil War. It's really been here a while. So I wanted you to see that. I wanted you to see the grounds. They're very beautiful. And now you see me. Welcome. I hope you're going to enjoy this little tour of Fort Casper, which is located on the fringe area of Casper, Wyoming. It's a beautiful, beautiful park. There's a campground here, and we're just going to look at all the different parts of it today. I'm not sure that we will go completely through the museum, but there is a wonderful museum here. But we'll just see how far we get today. 1865. It's been here a long time. All right. So we'll go down these steps now and on out. And this gateway, presented by Fort Casper Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, love thy land with love far brought from out the stored past. That's kind of an interesting saying. Okay. Okay, I've got little Sam with me. We're here at Fort Casper Museum and Park. And so we'll just start over here and then we'll go around this way and photograph things. It's a beautiful day today to videotape, and I think it's in the 50s, high 50s or 60s right now. And so let's look at this. Seeds for the Future. The Troopers Drum and Bugle Corps. The troopers have had this drum and bugle corps here for years, and they have done a marvelous job in competitions. They've won competitions. We'll just go right around here. Oregon Trail Memorial here. The Pony Express. Here was bustling Platte Bridge Station, later renamed Fort Casper, with a relay station for the Pony Express. The bridge was a catalyst drawing together wilderness, wayfarers, frontiersmen, and immigrants. All right, and here we have another monument for the Pony Express Centennial Association. See, this was a relay station right here for the Pony Express. Oregon Trail, marked by the state of Wyoming, and that was in 1914. Let's go around to the front of this now. There's little Sam. He's interested. This park is beautifully landscaped, and a lot of these cottonwood trees were here. They've been here for such a long time. Okay, let's see what this says. I think it's just a sculpture, which it says Old Oregon Trail. A monument to that came through here. And this is the museum right there, and it is open, but we're not going to do it today. We are going to film it, but not today. It's going to take us a while to do all the outside part of this, the grounds. Now down at the end down there, where I'm pointing down there, there are bathrooms, and there are places, you see, people can park here overnight. It's a campground too. For people to come through, they can stay here. It's a very nice thing. Now those are the buildings in the distance over there. of the fort. What's left of it. Now there's a drive over there. We'll take that later. But right now we're just walking around here. And in the background there's the parts of the old fort. We'll go through that too. So let's take this little, and down at the end, see there's an end. They call that the Centennial Park, established in 1990. There's a nice walk here, and we're going to go through this and look at the signage. Okay, here's one that tells you about the Indians of Wyoming. At the time of the Great Migration of immigrants through Wyoming to the Pacific Coast and Utah, Indians were the largest group of residents in Wyoming. Many of these tribes, such as the Utes and the Blackfeet, were semi-permanent and nomadic, traveling in and out of Wyoming as warrior hunting societies. The roaming buffaloes supplied the Indian with all their substance, and the introduction of the horse provided the mobility to hunt the buffalo in great numbers. The Shoshone were located in the western part of Wyoming, generally in the Green River Valley. The Crows were living in the Bighorn and Powder River basins in northern Wyoming and southern Montana. The Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Sioux claimed the southeast part of Wyoming, an area heavily traveled during the immigrant migration. The coming of the immigrants in great numbers was accepted peacefully by the Crow and Shoshone, but the Sioux, with the help of the Cheyenne and the Arapaho, resisted fiercely. From 1853 to 1877, the Sioux and their allies fought this intrusion in numerous battles until final defeat forced them to accept the invasion and reservation life. In Wyoming, the Wind River Indian Reservation is home for the Arapaho and Shoshone. All right, in the distance back there, and back here where I'm pointing to, back this way, over this way, back there, that's the Robert Stuart cabin site. Approximately 8 miles southwest of here, Robert Stuart built the first cabin in the state of Wyoming. The cabin was built in a 3-day period in early November 1812 at a site on the North Platte River at Bessemer Bend. Robert Stuart was a member of the John Jacob Astor Fur Trading Company that was under the command of William Price until 1812. Stuart's cabin was built of stone with a buffalo hide roof. According to his diary, it was 8 foot wide, 18 feet long, and 3 inches high. A hole in the center of the hide roof let the smoke escape. Following a visit by Arapahoes and learning of Crow Indians nearby, Stuart and his party abandoned their camp on December 13, 1812. They proceeded to present-day Torrington, near the Wyoming-Nebraska border, where they spent the remainder of the winter. Here it talks about the military explorers. John C. Fremont, the Pathfinder, was born in 1813 and explored a large portion of central Wyoming, including the Casper area. He made an independent survey to the Wind River Mountains of Wyoming in 1842. The 13,743-foot Fremont Peak of the Wind Rivers is named in his honor. Fremont tried unsuccessfully to navigate the North Platte River through a canyon southwest of Caspar in August 1842. The boat capsized, resulting in the loss of important mapping equipment, journals, registers, maps, and supplies. Subsequently, he received the dubious honor of having this area come to be known as Fremont Canyon. Through the recommendation of Fremont, the government purchased and garrisoned Fort Laramie in 1849. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. You can see it's fall here. Most of the leaves are gone. Oregon, California, Mormon trails. From 1840 to 1869, over 350,000 immigrants traveled past this area on the Oregon-California Mormon trails. That's a lot of immigrants. The promise of free land, sudden riches, or religious freedom caused these pioneers to endure great hardships. Thousands of persons died in the quest and are buried along this old pathway. Only 2 graves in Natrona County are identified by name as trail-dated burials. This is unusual due to the fact that hundreds of persons died while traveling through our country. Drowning, disease, and accidents took a toll in our area, especially between this point and Devil's Gate. The peak of immigration was in 1852 when 70,000 persons passed this spot, most on their way to California goldfields. Here are more of these signages. This signage is on the Pony Express. Today you stand where the Pony Express ran in 1860 to 61, when daring riders on swift horses carried the mail between St. Joe, Missouri and Sacramento, California. On January 30th, 1860, news release read, "Have determined to establish a Pony Express to Sacramento, California." Commencing 3rd of April. Time 10 days. Horses had never crossed half the American continent in 10 days. Stage stations such as Platte Bridge Station became a Pony Express station, each averaging 12.5 miles apart. At these stations, tired horses were exchanged for fresh ones. Riders stayed at home stations, some 40 to 70 miles apart. Young riders signed on the ride because of this San Francisco advertisement. Wanted, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18, must be expert riders willing to risk death daily. Orphans preferred. Wages $25 per week. Despite death-defying rigors of summer heat, winter blizzards, and Indian attacks, riders anxiously awaited the pony's first run on April 3rd. Mail pouches relayed from pony to pony at each relay station were shuttled across the 900 miles expanse on schedule, with letters and telegrams delivered on April 13th. Although it lasted a mere 19 months, it shall forever remain one of the truly remarkable feats of the Old West. And there's little Sam. What do you think about that, Sam? What do you think about the Pony Express? Okay, there are more signs here. This sign tells about the Mormons and Brigham Young, and this signage tells us about Richard Bridge and the military complex. And let's go on a little bit further. There are a few more. This is an overview, and this one talks about the Bridger and Bozeman trails, ranching in Wyoming. Down here's a little plaque monument to the Amco companies, the oil company of Caspar's first century. Sam and I often go to Amco Park to hike and walk around the river, the Goose Egg Ranch. Oh my goodness, I remember going to the Goose Egg restaurant. All right, and this one talks about Ellen L. Watson, who was Cattle Kate. This one's on the railroads. This one is on the Salt Creek oil field. Important parts of Wyoming history. And this is Caspar, Natrona County state funding. Eadsville, a mining ghost town, which is situated 12 miles due south of Caspar on top of Casper Mountain. It was founded by Charles W. Eads in 1891 after he had staked a 600-foot by 1,500 feet mining claim around a large spring. Word had spread that large deposits of precious minerals were found: gold, silver, lead, and copper. Lots were sold in the town in 1891 and 1892, and about a dozen cabins were built. Foundations of 3 cabins still remain today. Some 40 to 50 people lived there hoping to find a bonanza of gold and silver. Some copper was mined, and traces of gold and silver were found. Asbestos and feldspar were economically mined. The spar is still being mined today after nearly 100 years. The miners finally gave up and abandoned the town in 1905-06, numerous artifacts were uncovered in an archaeological excavation conducted in 1983-85. Eadsville is located in a beautiful mountain setting at an elevation of 7,800 feet. I thought that one was interesting since I haven't been there. The Civilian Conservation Corps, who did so much work in the United States. The Caspar Army Air Base. And then here we have these lovely picnic grounds. Come on, Sam. We gotta go back now. I'm gonna finish this later because it's getting late now. Okay, let's go. And this shows you Centennial Park over here, and those are the outhouses. There's even another little cabin out here. I don't know whether people can rent that and stay in it or not. There's a playground for the children there too, which is very nice. And more signs, by the way. There's more signage. As I go along, I keep finding more signage there. Okay, we gotta go back now, Sam. We'll come back. Here's an old part of a wagon, but it tells something about it. Caisson and Limber, 1918. A caisson is a two-wheeled metal ammunition wagon. A limber left is a two-wheeled supply wagon. Both are equipped to carry 75 milligram shells. Horses were connected to the front of the limber. A cannon was attached to the back of the caisson, made by the American Car and Foundry Company. So now we're going to go back to the car. Okay, I'm back out here at Fort Casper, and I'm standing outside. I'm going to take a walking tour around the original fort buildings. I thought that would be interesting. This is a very large facility. It's very beautiful. It's an asset for our community. Before we do that, I wanted to talk to you and let you know it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. You can see the leaves are turning here, and most of them, they're withering a bit, but they're still beautiful. A lot of our grass is still green. So let's get started on this little tour right now, walking around the old fort. Now here we're going to start with this, and so we have here a map, a site map here. We're right here at the museum, and then if we go around to all of these different places, we'll go to the sutler's store, the blacksmith shop and corral, living quarters, commissary, barracks and kitchen, telegraph office, and a bridge. The famous Guinard Bridge. Louis Guinard built this in 1859. The Mormon ferry was built in 1847, and the Mormon Pioneer Party crossed over here. There's the carriage sled, commemorative cemetery, and a monument and cemetery. So let's get going with our tour here. Okay, here we go. The Battle of the Red Buttes. A desperate battle to save a supply train ended tragically the same day as the battle at Platte Bridge. Sergeant Amos Custard and his men were bringing the 5 supply wagons back from the Sweetwater Station near Independence Rock. The group came into view of Platte Bridge Station from the direction of the Red Buttes about noon on July 26, 1865. Unaware of the morning's skirmish, Custard barely had time to assume a defensive position when a large group of Indians attacked. The 4-hour battle ended when the Indians overran the soldiers' position. The next day, a detachment from Platte Bridge Station found the bodies of Sergeant Custard and 20 of his men. The only survivors were 3 of the 5 men on advanced patrol from the supply train who made their way here to safety. Okay, well, let's get on with our little walking tour here. I probably won't read every single sign because there are a lot of them here. The Battle of Platte Bridge. There was another one there in 1865 with Caspar Collins led a troop of men to reinforce an army supply train. And the group was ambushed by members of the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho nations. Wow. The actual buildings here, the remnant buildings from the fort, were reconstructed on the original site in 1936. by the Works Progress Administration. The WPA was a government program created during the Great Depression to provide jobs for the unemployed. So they've been reconstructed. They are not all original here, but they are designed to look like the fort buildings that were here. I think there were remnants of them, and then they were added to. So we're just going to make kind of a quick walk through here. It's quite large area, so I might not get around all of it. We'll see. This building right along here, this was living quarters, and there's a stable and a corral. That little fenced area could be a corral. It's not hardly big enough for horses, but it might be. All right, and there's a well. But I highly recommend this beautiful area. It's so historically interesting, and it's well landscaped and beautiful. And this is the commissary. It was the storehouse to house the garrison's foodstuffs and supplies. A typical army meal on the frontier included hardtack, salt, pork, rice, coffee, beans, and brown sugar. To supplement their army diet, soldiers could purchase food stamps from the post settler and grow vegetables from small gardens. Oh, well, you can grow vegetables in Wyoming, but it's not, you have to plant them at the right time and hope they don't freeze coming up. And this building right here that I'm standing by was the barracks and kitchen. There are 3 rooms in it and were used as barracks and mess hall. The crewed bunks slept 2 men to a bed. Well, interesting. Kind of get a glimpse in there of the tables. Looking back now at that building and the well. For those of you that are history buffs, particularly if you like history of the West, we have a lot of it in Wyoming. So, especially about the Indians and wagon trains. Now here's a bridge. Here's the famous little bridge. And of course, this is right along the Platte River. It says here, site of the old Platte Bridge built by Louis Guinard in 1858-59. This is just a remnant of it. And it is called the Guinard Bridge. Here's the signage for it. It was used until Fort Casper was abandoned in 1867. The bridge superstructure stood on 28 timber cribbings filled with rock and gravel. The total cost of construction was estimated at $40,000. The toll for wagons to cross was $1 to $6, determined by the height of the river. An additional toll was charged for animals and people. This bridge symbolized the changes being shaped by the expansion of America during the middle 19th century. And this one talks about the road to Zion. It's when the Mormons came across, and there was a lot of tragedy connected with that. The Mormon ferry, this is called. And there's how they would have a wagon on the ferry. A lot of information here about the ferry and the upper crossing. The North Platte River that we see today is considerably different than the river that the 1847 Pioneer Party had to cross. The amount of water that flows down the river is monitored today. I'm not sure whether that's headquarters over there or not. This is kind of a nice overview here that we're taking of the fort. And now we're just going to walk back to the museum, and I think I'll film a little bit of what is inside the museum that you might be interested in seeing. You know, it's a lovely place to visit. It's a beautiful fall day today in the high 60s. Well, maybe just the middle 60s. Very few people are here, so I can just film this the way I want to, so that's a nice thing. And of course, what you're looking ahead here are the way the Indians built their teepees. And of course, they had to be easily assembled and easily taken down because they moved around a lot. They were actually hunting game of all sorts and buffalo and moving about. They were very nomadic. If you have a motorhome or a trailer that you camp in, you can stay here. Not right here where the fort is, but right on the outside there. There's a place where you can park your motorhome or your fifth wheel and spend the night. So now we're going to go back inside. Of course, it's all wheelchair accessible. I'm taking advantage of that because the doors are very heavy. And here is some signage, which is really cool, which says, get to know Wyoming. Of course, Yellowstone Park was the first national park. There's our state flag and the world's single largest mineral spring. It's at Thermopolis, Wyoming. I've gone there many times. The mineral waters are very therapeutic and good for you. And we've had the largest coal mine, largest trona reserves, the first woman justice of the peace, Esther Hobart Morse, first women voters. Wyoming was the first state to give women the right to vote. We had the first woman governor, Nellie Taylor Ross. The first national monument, Devil's Tower. The first national forest, Shoshone National Forest. And look at this, the first JCPenney store. Isn't that cool? All those firsts we've had, especially about women. We were very progressive. This storyboard right here tells you a lot about Wyoming too. Our state flower is the Indian paintbrush. The state fish is the cutthroat trout. State grass, western wheatgrass. State tree, plains cottonwood. State gemstone is jade. State fossil, I don't know what that is, but it's a fish. State mammal is bison. State dinosaur, Triceratops. And here's our state seal. Our state bird is the western meadowlark. So see, all of those things are interesting. And then here's some things about the city of Caspar and Natrona County. So it tells you some of the old buildings there. There's lots of signage here. And things to view. There's a signage here about the ferret. I have seen a ferret, the black-footed ferret. They're very rare. Over here, we have a classroom and more interesting stories about Caspar. We'll just take a quick view inside. Here's something you might not know, and I've seen quite a bit of this. There's a lot of rock art in Wyoming, where the Indians and even natives that were quite ancient had drawn things on the rock. And you can find out more about that in Wyoming, and you can go view some. We have it around. And here's a whole wall about the petroglyphs. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you can see the cliff face legend rock in Hot Springs County. And most all of the counties have some. Albany County. And in fact, this whole wall that I'm looking down there and that wall over there are pictures of petroglyphs and where you can see them. So if you're interested in that, you'd certainly love to come here, wouldn't you? And visit our state. Okay, we're going back out into the hall now. There are restrooms, of course. The sheep industry was a very big industry in Wyoming. We don't have as many sheep today. We have more cattle. Coyotes and things were very hard on the sheep. This signage talks about harnessing the North Platte River. This one talks about moving livestock. This whole area right here with this signage here and behind it talks about the sheep fill the gap. Here's an old pair of chaps. What do you think of those? They funny looking? Yeah. And the Goose Egg Ranch. It was in 1877. They had 27,000 head of longhorns brought from Texas. Well, we have some famous ranchers and ranches here. And of course we had the famous lynching of Cattle Kate. Here's a picture of her. There are books about her too. And the whole story there. The Great Grass Bonanza. Okay, we have some old branding irons here. Of course, we have this sheep wagon here. You can go inside of it and look around it. And this one gives the Central Wyoming geology. And this talks about the Salt Creek oil field, very famous oil field. Ranching and minerals, the oil particularly, have been very important to the economy of this state. We also have a lot of tourists. There's an interactive video there now that you can sit here and watch about drilling for oil. Now, we go through this room. And then there's been the cleaning up of the refinery sites, the Amco refinery. Oil has been such a big part of our economy in the state of Wyoming. Another interactive screen here. A little bit about the time of World War II here. And about the troopers, our famous troopers, Drum and Bugle Corps, that I think I mentioned yesterday, that have won a lot of awards. Here's a whole section of what historic places that are on the National Registry of Historic Places. I'm just giving you a quick overview of these things, but this is a wonderful museum. The oil capital of the Rockies. There's a very nice little diorama here for people to look at. It's a battle between the soldiers and the Indians. And here it talks about the Battle of Platte Bridge. And over here we have things that have been found in horseshoes and stuff like that. Caspar Collins. And Fort Casper comes back to life here. This is how they set this up as a museum. The Transcontinental Telegraph, and more about Caspar Collins. And there's a picture, a painting of the Guinard Bridge across the Platte. Some other nice paintings about the ferries. I think this might be a Pony Express settle, but I'm not sure. Here's some of the information about archaeological prehistoric finds in Wyoming. Mammoth have been discovered. And of course there are many, many arrowheads. Look at all these arrowheads here. It tells you about the arrowheads. I have even found chips and one pretty good one out on our rural property. Okay, and here we have firearms collections. And we did have a movie star. I remember seeing where she lived, the home she lived in. Lorraine Day. These are dresses worn by people in movies. So that gives you a little bit of information that we did have some people that were in movies in Wyoming. Oh, and here's a lot of moccasins, the American Indian collection, prehistoric things. So that's a little quick overview. And so as we exit here, we have a nice collection of books, a little store here of things that you could purchase, of course. Oh, those are nice. You really need to come see it yourself so that you can take your time and ponder over the things and read all of this signage about the exhibits, which are very good.